105.9.
Ward for Seaside FM, and on this Wednesday evening we welcome you to a forum for the election. By way of introduction, on the 7th of September, the Nova Scotia House of Assembly was dissolved and a provincial election was called for the 8th of October. And with this action, all the sitting MLAs ceased to be members of the Legislative Assembly. Well, tonight here on Seaside FM, we're going to hear from the three candidates in the newly formed electoral district of Cole Harbour, Eastern Passage. And just to let our listeners know that this is a forum, an opportunity for our candidates to speak to the issues, both for their parties and, of course, as individuals. This is not a debate in which we're going to challenge or argue with one another this point or that. We simply want to hear one by one from the candidates in the order that we have determined. And I should just let our listeners know that we drew names at the beginning, and the order for our candidates to speak this evening will be Becky Kent, Joyce and Treen and Lloyd Jackson. Well, just a little bit about the riding that we speak of, this Cole Harbour Eastern Passage. With the new provincial electoral boundaries, the riding has grown in its western end. Much of the area around the Imperial Oil Refinery has been added, and specifically that's the area that is east of Highway 111 and west of Belmont Avenue. So it's a few changes in the boundaries of the Cole Harbour Eastern Passage area. And again, our visitors tonight will be commenting on the issues. They're going to have an opening statement, and then we'll ask them to speak to the various issues. Again, before I invite them to give some opening statements, recent polls indicate that there's a high number of undecided voters. Could be as many as 4 in 10. That's 40%. That's quite significant. Well, no doubt our candidates speaking tonight will try to speak to them, that is, to the undecided, as well as to those who are already decided. Unfortunately, as we know, many won't vote, but I hope something in our debate tonight might encourage the folks listening to get out and vote. And we'll remind our listeners at the end of the program just how and when they can get out to vote. Briefly, our candidates. I'm not doing this in the speaking order because I've got my own order for my notes. Joyce Treen has built a very successful small business in Eastern Passage, and she's still operating the business after 28 years, and that's quite significant, Joyce. A long-time community volunteer. Among other things, Joyce has been an advocate for a new high school in Eastern Passage. She's worked faithfully with Girl Guides and has been a regular contributor to all the planning for the Eastern Passage Cow Bay Summer Carnival. So we welcome Joyce Treen to our gathering tonight. Becky Kent, of course, had at one time here in Eastern Passage a licensed early childhood education facility. She's the mother of 3 boys, has served on the HRM Council as a counselor, of course, from 2004 to 2007, and was elected a member of the Legislative Assembly of the province of Nova Scotia way back, it seems a way back now, in the fall of 2007, re-elected in the general election that followed in 2009. And part of the work that she's been doing in the last little while has been a deputy speaker of the Legislative Assembly. And then we have the male member of our group, and we welcome Lloyd Jackson tonight. Lloyd has been around in the military for a good long time, although he did take some time to do a career in sales and worked in the Attorney General's Department in County Court for a time. He's been very active in the military now since back in 1988 as a career counselor, and has had several terms in the peacekeeping work of the Canadian Forces overseas. And Lloyd was promoted to Major in 2008. He's a community volunteer, among other things, with the Lions Club, great work with youth and enjoying his passion for sports, especially basketball. And who knows, basketball might come up in our discussions here tonight. So we welcome our candidates to this debate tonight. And I'm going to invite Becky Kent to start first. Becky, you have 2 minutes to get us started.
Thank you very much, Bruce. I want to start by thanking you and SEASIDE-FM for having this opportunity this evening. It's always been a pleasure of mine to be on the air and share in the great programs that you're offering, so I'm pleased to be back. Many people would have some insight into who I am because I've been around as an elected official for quite a few years, a public figure. But just for those who's listening who aren't familiar with me, I'm going to give you a little bit more background. I'm very proud to be a Nova Scotia country girl. I grew up on the South Shore in Shelburne. And in a very similar environment, on the harbour, close to town, with the fishing boats and the foghorn and such. And I think that's what drew me to Eastern Passage. I'm proud to say that I've lived here almost 30 years, raising my boys to young adulthood, so I've accomplished that, and I'm going to say yippee, because that can be a feat in itself. I left a career to raise my children, stayed at home, and you're right, I did have a small business here in the community, a successful early childhood education center. But I think the thing that I want to share again with listeners is my experience over the last 9 years, and you referenced it. I have had the pleasure of being a public representative for the communities of Shearwater, Eastern Passage, Cow Bay, Woodside, Cole Harbour, in a number of capacities. For 3 years, you're right, I was on as an HRM councillor, and I was pleased to do that. Very proud of the work that I did there. As the MLA for the last 6 years, I'm proud to say that I was re-elected twice in that role. And I want to make sure that I take this opportunity to thank the residents of the areas for that great opportunity. I feel blessed to have had it. I've grown as a person. I believe strongly that our communities have grown as working in partnership with me. And I'm proud to reoffer this opportunity to continue as the MLA and put my experience and my skills back to work in the community. I still have a little feist.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Becky. And we're going to turn now to our Liberal candidate for Cole Harbour Eastern Passage, and we welcome Joyce Treen to give us some opening remarks.
Hello, thank you for having me. I want to thank all the listeners for taking their time out of their busy lives to take this opportunity to meet us all. I'm a mother of a 13-year-old boy. I'm a wife, and I am a small business owner, as you mentioned before. I've owned it for 28 years. It's grown over the years, and with my business, I have always supported this community. It's a wonderful community, and we're very lucky to be part of it. I was originally from Cape Breton. That's where I was born. We moved up here when I was 7 years old, and we lived in the Dartmouth area, and then I moved here when I was 11, so I've lived in the community for 37 years. I volunteered in this community since I was a teenager. I've always been involved in school activities, school politics, into my secondary education. I've always volunteered in the summer carnival, like you've mentioned, Girl Guides, Cow Bay Hall, the Seaside Harvest Festival that's coming up, our newest festival here. It's going to be down at Fisherman's Cove. I'm going to do a little plug. First weekend in October, go there. I've also been involved in my son's school, PTO. I'm a big advocate for education. As it was mentioned before, I'm happy to be involved in the high school for 13 years, fighting for that through many levels of government, different ministers. Happy to say that the Stephen McNeil Liberal government will support it as well. I'm watching a timer here, which is kind of an unusual thing to do when you're talking. I guess I just want to say this is a community I've grown up in. I love it. It's my home. I have many friends that live here that I've had for many years, and I'm watching a timer again. So my timer's up, so I need to stop so Lloyd can speak.
Well, last but not least, I would invite Lloyd Jackson, representing the PCs in this constituency, and Lloyd, your opening remarks.
Well, good morning or good evening, Bruce. Yeah, good morning, evening. Anyway, what I'd like to do is, it has been. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Many of those out there listening this evening will have already received my brochure, and with my brochure I lay out 5 achievable goals that I will work for to effect change in our riding, change that I believe is necessary in our riding, and these are local solutions for local problems. I believe that the people here should know what I or any candidate will do specifically for this riding if elected. The parties are presenting provincial solutions to provincial problems. Indeed, probably most of you this evening have just finished watching the leaders' debate where the messages would have all been about provincial issues. Let's talk about the needs and the local conditions. This is what I'm hearing at the doorstep. For years now, the residents of Cole Harbour Eastern Passage have not really had an effective voice in government. One area of neglect is a recreation facility. Cole Harbour Place is a community-initiated facility that was once the envy of neighboring communities. We've outgrown Cole Harbour Place. Our children have to travel across HRM to practice, to play hockey, football, basketball, soccer, all these sports. I will work with interested parties in the community and all levels of government to change this. I've seen Portland Street at rush hour turn into a parking lot. I watched the continuous lines of traffic on the main road in the morning and afternoon here in Eastern Passage. Imagine what these streets are going to be like as our growth continues. We need to have a plan. So it's my privilege to be here tonight to hopefully discuss some of those ideas and to work with that idea.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. Now, there are what we sometimes call hot election topics, and according to some of the polls that we've been hearing about, it seems to start with growing the economy and creating new jobs. Now, it seems to me that this would include concerns about provincial debt and balancing the budget. We hear criticism of what some would call wasteful spending by the present government, and always there's the call for lower taxes. There's also the role of small business in the economy to help develop and grow small business. These are all issues that I think we hear a lot about, and I know that the candidates will want to speak particularly to their own priorities for growing the economy and creating new jobs, and so I'm going to turn things over first on that issue to Becky Kent.
Thank you very much, Bruce. I'm pleased to talk about this because I think that we in Nova Scotia are poised and ready, and we have a solid foundation that I'm very proud of the government that I'm with, an NDP government and party that has set a foundation for a tremendous number of jobs that are coming forward. The 11,500 jobs that will be coming forward from this shipbuilding contract is an area of economic development that will affect every community in this province. And it's interesting that I'd like to address the topic of the trades and having our young people and our families in communities who have an interest in the trades. These are deep-rooted industries for us. Proud shipbuilders, proud tradesmen and women in our communities, and our young people now have opportunities. I'm raising that because I'm very proud to have been part of a government and the MLA in the sitting MLA to come forward as the only government who is investing in those options for Nova Scotians. Proud to be the MLA that is investing in a brand new high school here in Eastern Passage, which is about their quality of education in our own community, that we've fought for so many years, 30 years. But with that as well comes an investment in trades in our area. Our investments in the schools around the rural Nova Scotia is strong, and in particular the investments in Cole Harbour High School for the first trade school. These are investments in our young people, and those are investments that no other government have done. I think that's an important part of a future that is bright. We talk about our young people leaving our province. These opportunities are before us now, and that's what's at risk when you start thinking about other parties. Do they really want it? We've heard them waffle on these jobs. We've heard them waffle on investments. Every government is going to be criticized for investing in big companies, but I'm so proud of our Premier, who really does get it, that these investments are in families and people and jobs. I can't express to you the excitement that I have as with 3 young boys in my own household who are out job searching. They're taking advantage of the education that they have available to them, and they're looking forward to a Nova Scotian life.
Thank you, Becky. Well, we're going to move on now to Joyce Treen for the Liberal Party, and something about your priorities, Joyce, for growing the economy and creating jobs.
I'd have to speak to what I'm familiar with right now, and I know Stephen McNeil has it on his platform as well, is a small business. Small business is the driving force in Nova Scotia. We need to invest and support our small business. We need more tax breaks. The tax breaks are always given to the bigger companies. They're not given to the smaller companies. We need to start taking care of our small businesses. Those small businesses drive our small economies. Right now, the government's sending all these government jobs all to these smaller communities to try to boost them up or whatever. All we need to do is support our small businesses in these communities. If we do support them, they will support the communities. In return, the communities can stay and survive and prosper. They really need to look into this. The spending that's been spent on job creations in some of these larger companies. I mean, we've thrown tons of money away giving to these larger companies, and 6 months down the road, they're gone. What could we have done to create jobs, help people with that money is amazing. We need to be smarter with that. We need to stop being a bank for big business.
So you're not in favor of the jobs that are coming forward?
It's not a debate, thank you.
That's what I'm hearing, not in favor of the jobs that are coming forward in Nova Scotia.
We try not to interject. If we could just let each candidate take one by one, make their statement, and you can get back on your final
Thank you.
points. Joyce, carry on.
Okay, well, sorry for the interruption.
I'm sorry too.
It's not a debate. We need to look forward to keeping our students here after they're educated, making sure they can be educated in our province. All our cuts to education and stuff are deterring some of our students from staying here for their secondary education. We have to make sure that happens, and the jobs are here for them. We want to make sure that our future is bright, with lots of educated people and lots of jobs. Anyway, my time's up.
You could have carried on for another few seconds,
Yes,
but
exactly.
you'll
Well,
get back.
someone.
You'll get back. So the last to speak on issues to do with the economy and jobs is Lloyd Jackson. Over to you, Lloyd.
Bruce, this is something that the PC platform has shown a lot of detail to. First off, right off the top, if you get the opportunity to find our platform, surprisingly enough, the first 3 or 4 things we talk about, and end wasteful spending on corporate welfare. I agree with Joyce. These handouts to large corporations really, to my knowledge, haven't shown all the expectations are delivered on the promises that have been made. I look to the dockyard. I hear about 300 people being laid off. I hear possibilities of further layoffs before all this promises that the government is making in the future will come to be. We also have looked at reducing the small business rate, the tax rate, to 0. That should work for all of our local businesses here, from local fishermen to the small shop owners to salon owners to all the small businesses, because that's where we can invest in Nova Scotia. We were looking at moving the small business rate threshold to $500,000 from $350,000. So there's initiatives in our platform that will help small business move forward. But how can we expect anyone to want to open a small business in Nova Scotia when we have the highest taxes, when we have high power rates? It's just not an environment that's conducive to coming here and opening a business and investing your money. The government doesn't need to start jobs. We don't need to create jobs. What we need to do is create an environment where business will come in here and people will want to do business here, and let the people who are business people be business people. Support them. Give them the breaks, make it a competitive place, but Nova Scotia should not have the highest power rates and the highest taxation. It is not conducive to good environment for business.
Thank you very much. That's all 3 candidates speaking to us now on the subject of the economy and jobs. We want to move next, if we could, to the healthcare issue. Seems to be, at least again by some polls, the second largest single issue out there, especially, it says, for people who are 55 and over. Well, much is being made in this election about the present health board structure, how best to change it, how to save with amalgamation of services, everything related to healthcare administration. There's also the ongoing concern about waiting times, and we also hear about the uncertain future of federal funding where healthcare is concerned. And then the other day, many of us were reading about prevention of illness and why we need to give more care for prevention in the healthcare system with our aging population and all the demands that they have on the system. So I'm going to ask each of the candidates in turn to speak about your party and your personal priorities for healthcare system in Nova Scotia, and we'll go first again to Becky Kent.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm very proud of the work that we've done and, again, laid a foundation for change here in Nova Scotia. We heard loud and clear in the last election, and we've heard for a long time, that our healthcare system is broke. It needed repair, and we took that seriously. One of the big things that we focused on was our ER closures. We knew that in the past there were more closures than, I think, ERs open, and we focused on that. We hired Dr. John Ross to evaluate that, and we're very proud of a new model that we've invested in, which is a collaborative emergency care and CEC centers across Nova Scotia. As we move forward, though, we're also looking at our healthcare providers, our service nurses, our doctors, and such. You know, we've gone through past governments where they've paid nurses to leave our province, and they've closed thousands of hospital beds, and we know our Nova Scotians need those. So, you know, we're investing in long-term care beds, we're investing in opening more beds in our hospital, and I believe very strongly in that. But one of the most recent things that I'm quite excited about is talking with our nurses and having our nurses are on the ground. They are one of the fundamental service providers in our healthcare system, and we're opening and looking at opening clinics across Nova Scotia that will have them as the core providers of the service in that. I think that's such an important element to, you know, Nova Scotians getting care. I know here in our local area there are several service providers in health. We have some great clinics here, but I think that a collaborative style opportunity here within the constituency of Cole Harbour Eastern Passage is something that we can pursue. We will be pursuing. I certainly, as an MLA, have heard that before. I've had many opportunities to talk to healthcare providers and nurses and ER doctors who live right here in our community, and I look forward to seeing successes and working with the Department of Health to move that forward.
Thank you, Becky Kent. We're talking about health care in Nova Scotia, and I'm going to ask Joyce Treen, who's the candidate for the Liberal Party, about her priorities for health care. Over to you, Joyce.
Hi. I guess my feeling about the healthcare is the same as the Liberals' platform on the whole healthcare issue. I mean, what's going on now at the upper end of healthcare in administration is crazy. There are 10 CEOs. There are 42 vice presidents. There are 68 directors. They all make a combined salary of $18 million to manage the health care of less than 1 million people in Nova Scotia, 922,000. That's crazy. That money needs to be trimmed. It needs to be brought down to ground level. It needs to be applied where the patients are. The administration just needs to be leaned right out. They want to divide it up into the 4 original health boards areas, and they want to improve or increase, I guess, the strength of the community health boards, give them more opportunity to express in their areas what is needed in their area. Some places need more senior care. They have more seniors in their area. Some people may have more drug problem in their area that they need to address that. You know, there might be different issues in different areas. We need to listen to people down at ground level. We need to have the doctors down there form panels that they can work with those to ensure that the needs of our people, of our patients, are being taken care of, because it's not about the patients right now. It's about the boardroom, and it's about the money that's being spent on the upper end, and it has to stop, and it needs to be spent on the patients. Seniors, our population of seniors is growing. So as their population grows, their health care needs grow. And from me knocking on the doors, I have heard from many, many seniors, they are being ignored. They're being pushed aside, and they don't want to be dealt with. We need to change that. Our seniors are important. They took care of us for a long, long time when we were younger, so now we need to take care of them in health care. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. And again, we go to Lloyd Jackson, the PC candidate for the constituency, and some thoughts that you have on health care, Lloyd.
Well, Bruce, as I've gone door to door, a lot of people are discussing with me or telling me about wait times. If they have to go into either the IWK with their children, into Dartmouth General Hospital, the wait times. So, once again, you know, where do we find the money? How do we fix this? Certainly it's not with the abilities of the people that we have working out there in the health world. Our nurses, our CNAs, our doctors, they're all very capable people. They're all very professional people, and they're giving it all they've got. So we have to find a way to get more people to the workplace. Now, as my colleague, as Joyce pointed out, we agree basically, but the Progressive Conservative platform we've looked at it and we've talked about bringing the health authorities down to 3. We feel that the administration costs are far outweighing the money that is required to make these health boards work, and we have far too many of them for a province the size of Nova Scotia. Within that, though, there's other things that we can do, and Jamie Bailey has put together this platform, and he's thought outside the box. There's things that we can get our pharmacists to do. You know, in other parts of the country, we have given authority to the pharmacists to do and become more involved in healthcare. That's one thing that's in our platform. We were straight up say provide pharmacists with similar, you know, healthcare responsibilities that they have in other provinces. You know, there's other things. Work with the Dalhousie Medical School to make sure that what we're trying to do in the province is being supported by the academic side that is sending out the healthcare providers to us. It's just too easy to sit out there and say, well, you know, it would be wonderful if we could bring all our nurses and doctors home to Nova Scotia, but we have to have an environment in which they want to work. And again, you know, if they're paying the highest taxes in Canada, they're not going to want to come home to work.
Thank you again, Lloyd. And we're about midway in our time together this evening. And for those who may be just joining us on the radio here at Seaside FM, we have 3 candidates in the constituency, that's always a tongue twister, of Cole Harbour, Eastern Passage, in the persons of Becky Kent for the NDP, Joyce Treen for the Liberals, and Lloyd Jackson for the PC party. The next issue that we're going to ask each of them to speak to in turn is around public education and higher education. Improving the quality of public education at the elementary, junior, and senior high levels is always an ongoing concern for people. And, of course, there are also the wider concerns about the following education in the post-secondary term. You hear of university students seeking lower tuitions, and there's the ongoing concern about provincial funding for universities. Well, a big subject, and I'm going to invite each of the candidates in turn to speak to either or both of public and higher education. And so we'll start again first with Becky Kent.
Thank you, Bruce. I want to start with saying that, you know, our NDP government, our NDP party are very devoted and very specific about the measures that we take regarding our kids and our grandkids and making sure that they have a great start here in Nova Scotia and an opportunity to stay and have a good job and raise their family. These are some of the things that we're doing in that regard, is investing in our community colleges with the great opportunities that are before us and the high demand for skilled trades and such. We want to make sure that those spaces are available to them. That's why we're not only investing in community colleges but in our local schools on skilled trades training. We're also looking at we've capped tuition and debt that a student would be exposed to in order to go to school. We believe very strongly that they cannot be at risk of having so much debt that's it. They're going to be forever paying that back. That's why we took very specific measures on that. We're also investing in our young families who are coming out of the other side of of their education and having opportunities to put down roots, start a family, and helping them get their first start in a new home. On a local level, of course, I'm very excited about the opportunity that we're investing $21 million in a high school here in our own community, one that we've advocated and worked for, and the community stood fast behind a high school for our area, and then a trade school for Cole Harbour High, which is an added benefit to that decision. When students come out of the high school in Cole Harbour, students from around HM will be able to take advantage of the opportunities with skilled trades. On an elementary level, we are investing in lower cap sizes for our students, the highest per student funding ever in the province, and investing in putting our education dollars right into the classroom, right in front of the students that need the help with math, that need the help with early start reading, they need the teacher and the specialist resources that they need in those classrooms. That's where our focus is. That's where I believe it should be, and those are things that I'm going to continue to support with our party.
Well, our topic is education, and we're going to turn next to the Liberal candidate, Joyce Treen.
Hi. We have to start putting education in our children first. It's somehow come to the bottom of the pile. Education's not a line in the budget. It's our future of our province. If we do not educate our children properly, our future will look dim. They are the future of our province. The cuts that have been made by the present government are sad. 700 teachers cut. Crazy. 1,100 in all, including the education assistants, speech language psychologists and stuff. It's all very, very sad. There are kids suffering in our system. Those children are not numbers. Those are children who are trying to learn. And the demand that are put on teachers right now is astronomical. I mean, they have classrooms of 30 kids, 10 kids with a learning disability in there. They're not able to meet their needs. They're not. The present government cut that. They didn't listen when they said we cannot take this. Our kids need education. They didn't listen. And our government is going to listen. They're going to reinvest that $65 million that was cut from our education system and the $100 million that was cut from the university and the post-secondary education. Those were all cut. Those secondary education universities, community college, whatever, are tremendous economic drivers in our community as well. Those students come in here and bring money to their areas that they're in, so they support them as well. So that's a two-sided issue there. We need to do what they were talking about with the class sizes. They need to put 20 kids, well, the Liberal governments are behind 20 kid class sizes for primary to grade 2, 25 cap for grades 3 to 6, so that the teachers can teach properly. And we need to bring back more program assistants to help in the classrooms so that the teachers can do their jobs and the children can learn the way they need to learn.
Thank you, Joyce. And we're going to turn lastly on the subject of education to PC candidate Lloyd Jackson.
Thank you, Bruce. Again, just recently, I think every one of the listeners out there with children going to school realized and felt the pinch of getting ready to get our kids back to school. The PC government is offering, and it's a part of our platform, a $200 tax credit for parents who have children going back to school to help take that pinch and at least ease it a bit. So there's a $200 tax credit right there to help parents. The making of smaller or reduce the number of school boards. Again, like health boards, for a province the size of Nova Scotia, are we paying too much for administration? I think so. Maybe it is time that we take some of the money that's being spent on administration and we put it into the classrooms. The PC government has committed to a Stronger Education Act that will legislate mandatory 25 student classrooms. The classrooms are too big. I've talked to teachers. They're trying to do too much with too few resources, and it's really taken its toll on them. Now, we move on to we'll talk about Nova Scotia Community College. Dr. John Hamm balanced the budget. When Dr. Hamm balanced the budget when he was Premier of the province of Nova Scotia, he took the money that they were paying onto the debt and he put it into the Nova Scotia Community College. And we in this riding are the benefactors of that foresight, because the new waterfront campus came from the government of Dr. John Hamm. And the money he got from balancing the budget and reducing the debt was put right back to work into the Nova Scotia Community College. Now, I've talked to a number of people on the doorstep, and they think that's a wonderful campus down there. But there's 2-year waiting lines to get on and get into the courses. How can this be? We've got to address that. Our universities. We have the highest undergraduate fees in Canada. We have people in our riding who are sending their children to St. FX that are paying $2,000 and $3,000 more than students that are going to Memorial. How can we do that?
Well, we leave that question up in the air for the moment. When I talked with the candidates prior to our broadcast tonight, we suggested together that they might like to speak to seniors' issues. We have, as it's been often said, an aging population. According to one estimate, in about 15 years' time, 1 in 4 of the population will be at least 65. And as you go door to door, as candidates, I'm sure you hear from seniors and even those younger than seniors about some of the issues that concern them. So, Becky Kent, what are you hearing and what are your concerns about seniors?
Thank you, Bruce. I have been hearing on the doorstep, and I certainly have been hearing as well over the course of the last 9 years that I've had the privilege of representing this area, that there are basic things that our senior citizens struggle with, and that is certainly within their income into the household. They've all had a seasoned life and a long life of knowing how and where to pay their bills, but sometimes it's about how to make sure they get paid. And that's why I'm pleased to have been part of a government that took very specific steps to help them, like removing the HST off electricity. Those kinds of things are very important to our Nova Scotian seniors, because electricity is one of their primary. It's part of their health determinants. It keeps them warm in their homes. It provides their quality of life in their housing. It does for all families. We're in a community that is very strong in our senior population. We're in a province that is very strong in our senior population, and they deserve to have the supports that they need within their home. We're very happy to be part of a government who has provided extra funding and supports for their families to help give them care as they age in their own homes. We are also looking to long-term care improvements, increasing beds in Nova Scotia, increasing opportunities for our seniors to participate in their own communities through respite in their own homes for their caregivers. Those in receipt of the GIS, receiving not paying any income tax. All of these measures are meant to help them with the burden of their own economics in their own household. Here in our community, I work a lot with our seniors. They come to me for a number of things. Sometimes they're monumental. Sometimes they might just be lonely. Sometimes they need help filling out forms. Those are the things that I think that our seniors, when they're provided that kind of resource within their own community, they feel important, they feel engaged, and I'm very proud of the work that I've done to help make sure that they have access to that, whether it's through my office or through the programs at the province.
Thank you, Becky. We're talking about seniors and the aging population, so we'll turn next to Joyce Treen, who will speak to the Liberal point of view on this.
Okay, thank you. Knocking on doors, I've met a lot of seniors, wonderful people. I'm hearing a lot of different things from them, some really upsetting, bringing tears to my eyes. Healthcare is an issue. I think they feel left out. I don't feel they're being taken care of as well in our healthcare system, that they feel like they're at the bottom of the rung and other people come first and they're older, and that their problems aren't as important as maybe a young person's problem. That needs to change. I don't know where that even idea is coming from, but we need to address that. They want to stay in their own homes as long as possible. They're happy there. They're comfortable there. It's familiar. It's much better for the government, of course, to leave them there economically. But we need to, and the Liberals have a plan in place to help make sure that they stay in their homes. Power bills are huge. these poor seniors who want to stay warm can't afford to stay warm because this 9% return that the Nova Scotia Power is guaranteed is putting people at risk. Their health is at risk. When heating is something that keeps you healthy, it's at risk. The seniors have enough trouble with just getting to appointments and stuff, and maybe that's something we need to address too. I don't know if it's really a municipal issue or federally or provincially, I'm sorry, but we need to address that. It was huge at the doors. There's not enough housing for our seniors. We need to increase the amount of housing, whether assisted living or even just apartments in our area that they can live in. I mean, a lot of seniors end up leaving their communities they're so familiar and so comfortable in just because there's no, apartments or something for them to live in. It's sad, and they're moving and they're uncomfortable, and it's unfortunate. Okay, I'm being waved at that I need to stop, so I'll stop. Thank you.
I'm going to defer to, last but not least, Lloyd Jackson speaking about seniors from the PC party point of view.
Well, Bruce, like my colleagues here, going door to door, we're certainly all hearing from our seniors, and they're concerned, and their concerns are legitimate concerns. And a lot of what I hear is it's about making ends meet. They've worked their entire lives. They now worry every month about, once I've paid the bills, once I've paid Nova Scotia Power, once I've paid my taxes, once I've paid, what is left for me? It's difficult, we want our seniors to enjoy their golden years, and they really should be allowed to, because, they've put so much effort into making this such a wonderful province and community, and we're very fortunate for everything that they've done. So now, one of the things that's in the PC platform is to expand the seniors' property tax rebate. The Senior Property Tax Rebate Program will allow or assist Nova Scotians who are in the 30,000 or below tax brackets to stay in their homes. There's other things that we can do. Every time we give our seniors some kind of a raise, if they get a cost of living increase, in Nova Scotia you have what they call bracket creep in income tax. So the more they get, the more they move up into the income tax brackets, and then bang, they get hit because we're the only province that has this bracket creep in income tax. So if it's a cost of living increase that they get, then it's really at the other way. One hand we give it, with the other hand we take it away. Health care. We need to have available health care for our seniors. Our seniors are, they have issues that hopefully a lot of our younger people don't have, but they shouldn't feel that they have to wait 3 and 4 months to see a doctor. It just shouldn't have to be that way. And finally, the placement of parents. I've talked to numerous people that are worried about their parents are now going to need further care. They need more care than they're able to provide, and we're having issues with getting our seniors that need more care, placement in facilities that can provide that care.
Well, we've been talking about seniors from our candidates tonight, and I suggested with them earlier on that towards the end of our time together tonight, we might talk about the work ethic, doing the work of an MLA. Becky Kent has had the experience, and the other two candidates are vying for that experience and all that might involve. And so we'll hear first from Becky Kent, who's had the experience up until now. What would you say about the work ethic of an MLA, if that's the subject?
Thank you, Bruce. I guess I have to say that it's so extremely important, the work ethic. Having been in this role for 6 years, you have to have someone who is truly committed to the role. People who come to my office or call my office are often in a state of perhaps confusion or last-ditch effort. I don't know where to go. What can you do to help? And out on the doorsteps, I've been sharing this message with so many people that it's not uncommon to sometimes not know where to turn. So please contact me. I'm happy to help. That I can sort of navigate some of the frustrations that you might otherwise have. You absolutely need someone who is compassionate and respectful to every person of every background, of every situation in life. a caring MLA for sure. People are looking for help. They're seniors, they're youth, they may be sick, families in need. Confidentiality, Bruce, is probably one of the most fundamental responsibilities in my office. We deal with so many personal information, pieces of information. I can't stress that enough. You need a tender approach, but you also need a forthright position on things. People need to know where they sit. Having had the experience that I've had, and I've been doing this for long enough that I have connections to processes, I have connections to resources, I have connections to other levels of government, other colleagues, and I think that one of the that's a really important factor, I think, for voters today, to look at what they have in an experienced MLA. So many of our processes are established in the office. We have quick solutions to things because we've been down that road before. So I think that's certainly what I have to offer. It's what this community deserves, and that's what comes with experience.
All right, and that's you are a voice of experience. We can say that. Joyce Treen, you've had a lot of experience running a small business and being involved in the work, and there's a lot of work involved in volunteer endeavors. And so how would you like to speak to the work ethic? How do you see yourself doing the work of an MLA should you be elected?
There'll certainly be a learning curve. There's no doubt about that. I've worked all my life with people, helping people, making them feel good about themselves. Not just what I do, it goes beyond that. Helping people, they come to me during my job that I do now in needing help, and it's such a great reward in helping people and with their needs and stuff when they don't know where to go and they're asked and they just can't get what they need. I was kind of enlightened when I went over to one of the announcements that were made at the beginning of the
campaign.
The campaign, I guess. And we were standing all there and all these cameras were flashing and it was all like this, and the guy that's running over in Sambro turned to me and went, "Wow, this is a little much." And I went, "So wonder they think they're rock stars. We are civil servants to our people. We are not rock stars." That needs to go away. That stigma that thinks that there's some kind of movie star when they walk in the room. They're no different than any other constituent. We are the same. Our job is to look after our people, do the best we can, find avenues to help them. That needs to change, and I got that knocking on the door. We're tired of seeing your pictures. We want to see you do work, and we want to see you help us. And that stigma comes from being the rock star kind of thing. I care about this community. I've lived here for 37 years. I moved here when I was 11. Ocean Lee Drive was a dirt-end street. It was gravel. And one summer we watched all the houses being trucked to the other end and put on their foundation. So I've watched this community grow. It's a wonderful community. It's probably probably not the last, but a real true community that cares about each other. Between our summer carnival and our benevolent society, our own food bank, we take care of ourselves, and I want to help take care of this community.
Thank you very much, Joyce.
Thank you.
The last to speak about doing the work of an MLA is Lloyd Jackson.
Bruce, I had the privilege to work in the Premier's office for a year with Dr. Ham. I was a special assistant to Dr. Ham. And in my job in the Premier's office, I dealt with all our MLAs. I dealt with the different ministers. So I understand the importance of the MLA being a conduit for our constituents to trying to get to the different levels of government, the different programs of government. If you look at my brochure and my 5 achievable goals, one of the things I talk about in that is, in fact, that as an MLA, you should be there to help, be it our fishermen down on the wharf trying to work with the federal government, find ways to find funding that's available through the province that maybe they aren't aware of, to work with federal members of parliament, to work with the federal government, to work with the municipal government, to make sure that if there's an issue, that our constituents are being given the opportunity to get access to all the programs, whether they're municipal, provincial, or federal, that could help them in their hour of need. My 5 achievable goals speaks to that, and I think a lot of what you'll see there, working to try and get more money from the province, from the highway tax or the gas tax out here to use in our municipality, to work on our streets and our roads, because you can't go to the municipality every time and look for money or have a project when you keep telling the municipality you're not going to give them more money or they're going to be expected to raise taxes. Look, there's one taxpayer. We all pay federal taxes, we pay provincial taxes, and we pay municipal taxes. So I think the MLA's job is to be there to ensure that our constituents, when they are in need or they have an hour or something that they require, that we can help them find the resources to work with that. But it's also there to show some leadership. We are going to have, in the future, greater traffic issues. There's no getting around that. We need to show leadership. We need to work and show the people in our constituency that we have the foresight and the ability to solve these problems before they become unbearable for them.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. Well, we've come up to about the last 10 minutes of our broadcast, and we wanted to give each of the candidates an opportunity to give some closing remarks. And following the order that we've been doing this evening, I'll invite Becky Kent to kind of wrap things up from your point of view for tonight.
Thank you, Bruce. I want to just make sure that people are aware that there's a fundamental thing that's on the table with this election, and this election is about moving forward to a better future for Nova Scotia families, moving forward and having the strength of the foundation that we've built over the last 4 years as an NDP government. In Nova Scotia and certainly in Cole Harbour, Eastern Passage, we've benefited from that NDP government. We have had to face the challenges left behind of a province in a financial mess from previous governments, but we persisted, we made tough decisions, and we've set the course. Our party has 7 fundamental issues that we want to move forward, and that's better health care in Nova Scotia, good jobs. We want to keep the HST off of home energy. We certainly are standing up for seniors. We want a better start for our kids in our schools and our communities, a green, local, tax-free energy, and a balanced budget. All of those would be at risk if choosing another party. So my message is to ask you, when you go to the polls, to consider what you have at the table. You have an MLA who's been reelected 3 times in the community, who, in my skills, my experience, that will serve us as we pursue and make our way through some significant investments in our community that we fought so hard to have. Our high school renovation in Cole Harbour, our new high school here in Eastern Passage, our investments in Fisherman's Cove, our investments in our community agencies and service clubs, and the initiatives in healthcare with parks, trails, and such. You need someone with skills and experience that already has those connections. We don't have to start over. I'm happy to do it. I'm proud of the work we've done together, and that's what I'm asking you to consider when you go to the polls. Please vote. It's a very important democratic right.
Thank you, Becky Kent. And to speak with some closing remarks, Joyce Treen for the Liberals.
Hi. As a small business owner, I know what it's like to work. I know what it's like to work long, hard hours. I have never been a 9-to-5 kind of person. That's never been my day. So I'm going to work very, 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 very hard for you. I love this community. I've said it over and over tonight. I truly love it. I wouldn't have loved it and volunteered for all those years in my community without loving it. You have to care in order to do this job. And if you don't care and you don't care about its people, you may as well not do this job. I think we have a lot more things to come to our community, and I'd love to help make those things happen. Cole Harbour and Eastern Passage, and I'm going to say South Woodside because it's not in the title, but there are in our district. They deserve to have some more things come, some more good things come here. Our high school is coming, very proud of that, and Stephen McNeil, as I said, is going to support it. Change is in the air. People want change. When we knock at the door, they want change, and I want to be part of that change that are going to put Nova Scotians first. Thank you.
And, well, you took a little less time than you had. That's fine. We'll go to Lloyd, and you have a couple of minutes, Lloyd.
Well, thank you very much. I've been talking about local issues tonight, But I want to close on the issues at the provincial level. I mean, after all, those platform promises will affect everyone. The last 4 years have been an experiment. I believe a failed experiment. An experiment that didn't work out the way that the people expected. An experiment that we as a province thought would bring change. This experiment, well, like many school chemistry classes, failed. How can we reverse this failed experiment? Well, with change that works. Here are some practical solutions to provincial problems. Problem number one, we've seen more giveaways to big profitable business than ever. Solution, do away with the special cabinet control slush fund. Let Nova Scotia Business Inc. do its job. Problem two, power rates are out of control. Solution, freeze the rates for 5 years, encourage renewable sources of energy like wind and tidal power, and slow the unrealistic rate of energy conversion from coal to avoid deferred costs. Problem number three, the highest HST in the country. Solution, return the NDP increase to the people. We believe that the people are better able to spend their money than the government. Problem number five, high gas prices. Solution, get rid of the tax on tax and reduce gas prices by 2.5 cents per liter. We were told we would get change in 2009. Instead, we got more of the same. This time, let's get change that works. Vote for the party with the most comprehensive plan. The party with a realistically costed plan. The party with a leader who has the most business experience. Vote for your PC candidate. I would ask you vote for me, and I would ask for your support to achieve change that matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lloyd. Well, now it's over to you, the voters, those of you who are listening to this forum tonight. Please look for your voter information card in the mail. You should have it in your mail before next Monday. And on that card, you will find where you can vote if you choose to vote in the advance poll. And that advance poll, by the way, is on Friday and Saturday, the 4th and 5th of... That's the photographer at the door, I believe, from the Beacon. The election day, of course, is the 8th, but the advance polls will be open from 10 in the morning until 8 in the evening, both the 4th and the 5th of October. On election day itself, the 8th of October, polls are open from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening, around the clock. And I should also mention that the Cole Harbour Eastern Passage Returning Office is conducting a continuous poll every day except Sunday from 9 in the morning until 6 p.m. And that's until 6 p.m. Thursday, October the 3rd at 65 Horns Road. Lions Club Hall is the location for that continuing poll. I'd like to say special thanks to Gordon Heffler of our tech team for setting up the table, to Joe Kelly, who's been at the controls tonight, and especially to our candidates, to Joyce Treen for the Liberals, Becky Kent for the NDP, and Lloyd Jackson for the PCs. This forum has been recorded for social media and will be rebroadcast here on SEASIDE-FM at a later date.
Having fun. That's what
we thank you very much for listening. Again, thank you to the candidates for coming. I'm Bruce Ward for SEASIDE-FM.
Bruce.